not, we have drugs.
I got an opioid.
What would you like?
If I can.
Okay. 115 people. 115 people die every day in America because of an opioid overdose, according to the CDC. Although this is a new epidemic, according to the news, this has actually been an issue for over 20 years. The issue with opioids really began in 1999. This issue began when when doctors began to write prescriptions for opioids more than they needed. People began to realize the effects of the opioids and began to abuse them. Then, in 2010, there was a large increase in the use of heroin. This was when people realized that when you took the opioids, melted them, and injected them into the body, they became more poignant. The current epidemic began in 2013, when synthetic opioids became more popular. Synthetic opioids are opioids that are man-made. So let's stop for a second. There are so many opioids that are man-made and that are synthetic, but they are created in labs by pharmacists that know what they're doing. And those are okay. They're used to cut the strength of certain drugs, as well as being engineered in a certain way to attack or treat a certain issue. The reason that synthetic opioids on the streets and in this epidemic are such an issue is because people are making them that don't know what they're doing. They're making them in homes, buildings, and sheds, and have no experience in the combination of the drug. When they're making them more poignant and more dangerous because they don't know what they're doing. Synthetic opioids have become so dangerous that if a police officer gets some on their hands, they can go into an overdose. I was a police officer in 2014. When we searched vehicles, did pat-downs on people, or interacted with anyone, we only used gloves typically for sterile reasons. If it was a dirty environment, if someone was not clean, if there was blood involved. Now police officers are required to wear gloves all the time whenever interacting with anyone because of how dangerous these drugs have become. The government and communities are working hard to create more awareness, tracking, and regulations on the use of opioids. They have invested $12.9 million in government and medical tracking to try to stop shoppers. Shoppers are people who try to cheat the system. They will go to different hospitals, doctors, and pharmacies trying to get opioids for the same issue. Communities have worked hard to reach people in the community with different educational opportunities, and government officials have been better funded to track the deaths through medical examiners. So how can we help? First, we need to be aware. A lot of times I hear people say, well, this doesn't apply to me. I live in this area. It's only this age group. My kids would never do drugs. But the thing is, we have to realize this is happening all around us. We need to realize this is affecting every type and age of a person. It's not sticking to one stereotype. Second, we need to educate ourselves. So say you're right. Your kid would never do drugs. You live in a good area, but one day you're in a park. Someone gets out of their car, comes to hang out with your child and a group of friends. It's not a normal person to hang out with, but it's a new one. You're in the park, you see someone, and they begin to go into an overdose. You are the only person in the entire park that recognizes what the signs of an overdose are. You are the only person who knows what to do. Being educated will allow you to know what to do, what the signs are, and how you can make a difference and save that life. It could be up to you. Finally, we need to take action. There is a drug that is available to almost anyone. Did you know that this drug can reverse the side effects of an overdose? Did you know that if you give someone this drug who you think is in an overdose but actually isn't, it has no adverse side effects? So you could save a life, or it could do nothing. It's a win-win situation. Naloxone is the drug that was first created and is typically used in hospitals and by trained personnel. This drug is a liquid and that was injected into the body in order to reverse these side effects. However, in the last several years, they've come out with Narcan. Narcan is basically a nose spray that is easily administrable, does not require training, and works the same way as the other drug. Some police departments already require their police officers to carry it because that's how quick an overdose can happen. That's how quick someone could die from an overdose. So what if every police officer, neighbor, CEO, and employee carried this? Doesn't have to happen in your work, doesn't have to happen at the home, but what if you're at the grocery store and you could prevent that death? What if everyone understood that this was an issue? That there was information on the issue, and that you could prevent a death? What if we were all aware, educated, proactive, prepared? We could reduce the number of deaths a day if we knew the signs of an overdose and recognized the issue. Opioids are not something that are just given to random people. They're given because of surgeries, and we talked about the issue of prescription drugs being handed out. So in the last 3 years, this is the amount of opioids from one person that was left over after surgeries. There are over 5 different types of different opioids in this bag, from the actual pills to patches. This is not something that we can ignore. These are left over from a surgery. When we recognize that this is an issue, we recognize that we need to be part of the solution, and we need to educate ourselves. That's it.
JK.